yaw string, just a piece of yarn.
Okay.
And what you do is, as you're flying, you're just trying to keep that thing straight with your rudders.
Okay.
And you're just working the rudders all the time.
So instead of stepping on the ball, you step on the string.
String, exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your name again?
Brian.
Brian, my name is Elisha. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Would you kind of explain how this thing works?
All right. So the wings come off of this dolly here.
Okay.
And this cradle, and it allows me to move the wheel like a big wheelbarrow, and then it flips down.
Okay.
And then what happens is that this wing, this tongue here, and the hole over there, it all mates. It slides into this wing. Okay. This is the part of the spar for that wing, and it goes in there. And then I use this they call it a bolt in the manual. It's a big metal pipe here, and then it just goes right in there, and that locks the wings in place. And then you have to hook the controls up, which is all done behind the spars here, with these little they have these balls that go in here. This snaps closed, and then this goes in. This little pin goes into the back of this. It's easier to do actually when it's in the wing, but it locks it in place. Safety pin, there it goes, so that they can unlock when you're flying.
Nice. So those are for the controls.
These are for the spoilers, and then this one here you can see is for the ailerons. That's all it's got: ailerons, spoilers, and then it's got an all-flying.
So that's the trailer.
That's the tail.
Horizontal stabilizer.
Horizontal, and it's all flying.
Okay.
So the whole thing moves. It doesn't have a fixed stabilizer and elevator. Old design. That's back in the 70s when the Germans were building these things. That was kind of the way they did it. Now it's more fixed tails with regular elevators. This glider is really pitch sensitive because of that, because this is so powerful. And so you don't really need much pitch control. And that's the first time you take off in it. When you're getting towed, you're bouncing around. But
how long you been flying these for?
I've had this glider 5-6 years now. I've been flying gliders since, I came back here to the club about 10 years ago. Wow. And but I flew gliders when I was 14, when I was a kid. Oh wow. Back in Colorado, and then I worked my way to the military, and now I'm an airline pilot. So.
Oh, you are an airline pilot.
Yeah.
So would you consider this to be more sensitive compared to normal airplanes, or? Actually,
in roll, it's a lot slower because the wings are longer, right? In pitch, it's really sensitive. Rudder is super powerful, and that's probably the control when you transition from a power plane to this. Using the rudder is the thing that you learn the most, because what happens is when you go into a turn to thermal, which is when you cut to updraft, right? You have to turn just like the birds do. When you go in the turn, this wing is going faster than this wing because it's on the outside, right? And because of that, it has more drag, more induced drag. And so the nose wants to turn this way. So you have to stick in rudder to get the nose down. That's what this is doing right here.
Oh, so that rudder is actually different. It's not one piece. It's
the rudder is it's got a regular stabilizer. Yep, it doesn't. It's not all flying.
Okay.
Interesting. All gliders have this. Yaw string, just a piece of yarn. Okay. And what you do is, as you're flying, you're just trying to keep that thing straight with your rudders. Okay. And you're just working the rudders all the time.
So instead of stepping on the ball, you step on the string. Exactly. I like that. Yeah. Sorry for cutting the video. We're gonna get back to it. But every video that I post, I'm gonna be starting with a question, or it could be a vocabulary that we want to get the origin of that vocabulary. So when you hear it, I want you to pause the video go down in the comment section and answer whatever the question is, then continue with the video. And then the next video, I'll answer the previous question that I asked, and then I'll ask another one. So you're not gonna try to cheat or maybe ask anybody. Just put whatever you think is the answer, so that way we can get the knowledge that we can. Thank you so much, and let's continue with the video. All right. So can you kind of tell us what is on the inside?
Oh yeah.
Step on the string. I like that.
Basic panel. So the most important instrument in this thing is the variometer. Variometer is it's a climb indicator. It's a little different than a regular, like a VVI in a plane. VSI, yeah. It's more sensitive. It actually has some measurement of the movement of these canisters. See this thermos up here? And there's a thermos back there too. It actually measures the inertia of your microphone, which is super sensitive. So I've got three of them. I've got this guy here, this one here. This one's mechanical. This one's electrical.
So that's the VSI, the vertical speed indicator.
Yeah, we call them variometers. In this, yep.
Why is that? What's it called that way?
I don't know why they call them variometers. Because they're a little bit different than a VSI. They're just a little bit. They have a different functionality and how they work, and they're definitely more sensitive. And then so I basically this one here too is electric. Basically, I almost always prefer to use this one here, and it's got a beeper. So when I'm in lift, it goes beep 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 beep. So I don't have to actually look at it. I can tell. So I can concentrate on centering the thermal to get the maximum amount of energy out of the thermal without having to really look at this thing.
So you'll be watching that one, this one, and that one. What's the difference?
Okay, this one's mechanical, so it doesn't have any. It's just it's probably the least accurate. It actually reacts kind of the first. This one's a little bit better. It's got some damping in it, and I can actually there's some controls on it'll average out, give you a different average time so that it's more sensitive. And then. But again, I don't really look at them when I'm flying. Just because it's got that beeper. It's a beep 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 beep, and I know I'm in lift.
So it beeps only when you're climbing, or also when you're descending?
It beeps when you're climbing, and then it makes a really harsh tone when you're in heavy sink. When you get to about 5 knots or so sink, it'll start making this harsh tone, and that lets you know you got to get moving, because the way out of it, usually the way that you get out of that stuff is by accelerating. Get out it as fast as you can out of the sinking air. And then it's just got regular comm here, Aviation comm, and it's got a whiskey compass and a altimeter, airspeed. Fly at about the little yellow guy, 45 knots is what I thermal at usually. About 45 degrees of bank, 45 knots. Land at about 50 knots. It'll go comfortably 80, 90 knots, you know. So.
And this is the battery voltage indicator, right?
Battery indicator, yeah. There's a battery. I don't have it in there, but it goes. There's a little battery box right there.
How long does the battery last for?
10 hours, which is way longer than I can fly. I've only the longest flight I've had in this guy is almost 6 hours.
Nice.
So,
so you can stay 6 hours up in the sky?
Yeah.
6 hours?
Yeah. Wow. We go cross country, go up north. There's all those little airports that are along Myers and Rossetti and all those. You can follow those up so that you have places to land if you run out. But you can go up. There's glider ports up there. Go south too. There's some airports out that way that you can fly around.
So you basically kind of stay around the airport, so that way if something goes wrong, you can land.
No, you go cross country. Like when I've been as far up as Richmond, and you know, when you if you run out of lift, then you're going to land somewhere, preferably an airport, but you can land in a field, and then the tow plane will come and get you. Or if the tow plane can't get you, somebody drives your trailer up, and take it apart, put it away. That's the plan. Nice.
So what is this?
This is just the canopy release, right? The canopy, it's off right now, but it's a canopy release. This is emergency canopy release. If you have to bail out, you can pop that, and the whole canopy will just come off. This is boom mic for communication. It's got retractable gear, so the gear's down and locked there. Pull it back for up. This is trim. Trim is just turn, and pretty much you set it for takeoff. You do the climb out with the when you're on tow, and then after that, I usually get set right about here.
So that trim, what is you trimming? Is it the horizontal stabilizer?
Yeah, and actually, it's got a spring system in here that just kind of pulls. It's underneath here,
Okay.
and it pulls it around, but it trims the horizontal stabilizer
okay.
Yep, for pitch, for speed.
Okay.
And so what happens is I'll set the trim, like if I'm going between thermals, I'm going from one thermal to another. Usually 60 knots is like best speed, so I go about 60 knots,
Yep.
and I'll trim for that. And then the minute I get into a thermal, pitch the nose up, start turning, and I'll crank the trim back almost all the way, and just let it, and then start climbing out.
Now, how do you know when you hit the thermal? Do you feel it? Or
Yeah, you feel it. You feel it first.
Okay.
What happens is, so you're looking at the clouds, and you're trying to find where a lift would be.
Okay.
And so you go up to this cloud where you think it's going to be, and if you hit lift, what happens is, first you'll feel roughness. There'll be a little bit of bumping, and then the airspeed usually starts bouncing around because you got this column of air that's moving, and it's got all this turbulent flow around it. Then as you get in it, you if it's a good thermal, you'll feel a good boost in the butt, and you'll start climbing. And then what you do is you turn. If a wing lifts during that time, so if you're cruising along, you get that bump, that rough, and a wing pops up like this, you turn into the wing, because that's where probably the lift is.
Okay.
But if you're not sure, you turn, and then the way I do it is I'll turn, and let's say I turn and I fall out of it. I start descending.
Yeah.
I'll just do a 270, straighten the wings out, roll out a little bit longer, and then start turning again and try to center the thermal. And then I'm using that beeper. You'll hear. So pretty much after you get that big kick in the butt, then it'll start beep, 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 and you know you're going to crank it around. And then I'm just trying to get it about 45 degrees usually is a good, on a good day. But the thermals are different every day. Some days they're real rough, some days they're smooth and big, sometimes they're tiny, sometimes they seem to be like bubbles of multiple columns, and you'll go through and you'll get lift here and a little less here, maybe sink, and so they don't seem completely round. They might be like pieces of, it's just every day is different.
Oh, nice.
Every day is different.
So, and you see how long you've been doing for since you were in high school?
When I was 14, when I was a kid, I started flying gliders in Colorado, and then I got my power license, and I went to the military, and then now I'm working in an airline. Yeah.
Do you mind if I ask which airline you're working for?
Yeah, I'm a Delta pilot.
Delta.
Yeah.
I like Delta. Nice. All right. Okay. What last thing?
Oh, yeah.
This what is that?
That's the brake, wheel brake. So when you land, just hold the brake and it's got a little tiny brake, but usually you're only doing 40 knots when you land, so it doesn't roll too far.
So you don't have no pedals?
No, it's got rudder pedals here, but no brakes or anything on it. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's basically a tail dragger, but it's got a fixed tail wheel. So that red thing is just to move it around on the ground here, but you can see that little tiny like skateboard wheel.
Yeah.
That's basically the tail wheel, so it's fixed.
Oh, that thing in the back.
With the black little tiny wheel. Yep. So that red thing, when I'm flying, that red thing comes off. I take that whole thing off when I go fly. So that's just for ground movement. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I like this. So how long does it take for you to get used to? Oh, well, I mean, you're already there, but for somebody who's in the power airplane, if they go to gliders, how long does it take before they can get used to this?
Don't quote me. I think there's. It's not so much. It's. You have to do a number of instructional flights. I think it's 10. But don't quote me. I haven't done. I've never had to do it because I had my private glider license when I was a kid. So, but I think it's 10 like instructional flights, 10 solos, and then you have to go with an examiner and a check ride in it. Usually what they do is you do 3 flights. You do a regular high tow, and you do stalls and slips and just the regular maneuvers. And then the second one might be lower, and he might have you do something unusual, like to simulate an emergency. And then you'll definitely do what they call a rope break, where you take off, and a couple hundred feet off the ground, you'll pull the thing, and you'll turn around and make a landing. If the rope were to actually break on tow, depending on your altitude and the winds, you're either going to land straight ahead, or you're going to turn around, or you're going to go, if you're like high enough, if you're like 500 feet or so, you might do a real short downwind and land. So it just depends. That's the biggest thing to learn is that once you're off the tow, you get one landing, no go around.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't mind. I'm glad.
Actually, the trailer.
Yeah.
Have the trailer. Like, do you buy the glider with the
The
trailer?
glider
or?
came with the trailer and the glider all together. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's got these dollies for the wings. You know, it's designed, and they see those red guys. They hook up in there to lock them in place. And then the fuselage goes on that cradle over there, which sits right here.
Okay.
Then it all slides in and comes down, and then like I just drove it over to the car wash to wash it. So just pull it on my car.
To wash the.
No, I'll wash the trailer.
The
actually.
trailer.
Yeah. So I just put it on the thing, drove it off over there, and then I came back to wash it. Wash the glider thing.
Okay.
Not flying today, so just doing maintenance stuff.
Nice. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again.
Oh man,
Appreciate it.
Nice to talk to you.
Keep it up.
Yeah.
Yep.